And but the buildings, however, beautiful and clean, and just very, very homey feeling. Beautiful auditorium, and so it felt good right away. Here in church, everybody's come from different faiths and spiritual practices, different walks of life, and we bonded together down there. The huge thing, transformation, I think, was the bonding with people who were all very different from me in some way or another, but yet we bonded as one in the group. And I find myself now, when I meet people, I'm asking, well, who are you? What did you do? What's your interest? It's like I want to know all about it, because I find it very exciting to know what somebody's all about and see where they've come. And, I don't know, it's opened me up in that way. Spiritual growth comes in many different forms. Listening to the message of the day, but also experiencing and learning other people's spirits. Only really when you can understand spirit isn't just the way I think. It's, you get something from everybody else, and that creates sort of a link of energy. Just a big, huge energy link, which is a unity feeling.
About 6 months before I went on the pilgrimage, my wife has passed away, and she had wanted to go to Unity Village for several years. So when Reverend Marty asked me if I would go on the pilgrimage, I thought, well, if I go, it's kind of like taking my wife there, and she would finally get to go there. So I said, yes, I'll go. Now I should explain that after she passed away, and after the initial hurt dissipated, and outwardly I could function more or less okay, but inwardly I could feel nothing. It was like an empty shell, it was as if I was dead inside. So I had no expectations, no anticipation of anything for me in going to Unity Village. The motive was simply to symbolically take my wife so she could get there. On the Thursday morning, I had breakfast in the cafeteria, and it was a fair while before my class that I was attending started. And so I reread the chapter we had been given to read the night before for that session. And after I'd done that, there was still a little time left, so I walked outside the cafeteria into the open air, and fortunately there was a table and chair there, and I began to think on this chapter, how did it apply to me and how did it apply to my wife? And suddenly, in a moment, I went from completely empty to being completely filled with love and joy. I can only describe, the nearest I can come to describing the feeling was that I must have been filled with the grace of God. It was, in that moment, my life was completely changed and has been ever since. It wasn't just a comfort, it was an awakening. It was as if I had been given back my life. Because up to that point, I didn't really see any point to it anymore. It turned out that I wasn't taking my wife, she was taking me. Once in a lifetime experience, I think, that literally has totally changed my life. I've never been the same since until next week. I feel very strongly that my wife looks after me, even though she's not physically here, she looks after me every day. There are so many reasons for that, but I have become, I think, much more sensitive to signs. I think a lot more sensitive to other people. And the love for, well, not just the people in our church, but all my friends and neighbours. I think that's the greatest feeling of all. It's just, there's nothing like it. mean, I went there with acquaintances and came back with family. It's as simple as that.
In an October day, and it was my first experience here, and there was a group of, I believe it was 4 people preparing to go to the village for classes that fall. I didn't know what was going on, and I just saw the 4 people. They looked happy enough. And then a week later they came back, and they were all glowing, and they just had this wonderful thing going on. And right then and there I was intrigued. I didn't know where this place was. I didn't know anything about Unity yet. I'd only been here a couple times. But wherever it is they went, I wanted to go. I remember one of the teachers, Norma, saying, "You guys think that this is like this all the time here, that this is always this just amazing energy." And she said, "That's not really the case. It's you that bring it here. It's when you come here and come together." And as I let that ponder, and I've thought of her saying that many times over the last few years, and I never let it grow with me what the lesson was. And today it dawned on me what the lesson was, is it's not just when we all come there, but then we have that same incredible energy to take anywhere we are and to share it with anybody. And to show that, you know, it's there. We don't have to just do it at that beautiful place called Unity Village. You know, my spiritual journey, you know, took me forward at that place. Because of what I learned, probably only a quarter of it was from the teachers. The rest were from the other people there as you share and you're open with each other. But then the bonds here within the church are just incredibly strong. And yes, it's not a congregation that you are with and among. It truly is a family. And if they come or they have a need, you see it, you know them, and it's so much easier to step forward and to be there for each other. It's an experience, and it just grows, and the more things that happen and you grow, the more your faith grows, because faith isn't blind. It is about experience. It's about being open to it, but then it's experiencing it. And it's not something out there in thin air. It is as solid as all this moving matter.
It was very, very worthwhile. And of course, the friendships, like people said, deep friendships and bonds. But it does allow you to come back and realize that there is love everywhere. Metaphysics, I keep going back to it and learning more. But the main part of that was the meditation. And I did learn to meditate there. I went to the morning meditations, and it was very good. And the phrase "peace, be still" is what has stayed with me. I do that often now when things just get out of hand. I just stop, close my eyes, and find the peace within. It's there.
Everyone, it's like watching a rose blossom. You know, that's why the rose garden is so perfect. And watching the fountain of the Spirit just flowing in people, and hearing their insights, and seeing the joy on their faces, and watching the love between people. And it was just an incredible experience. And then we always have sending offs on the Sunday before going, with the blessing of the whole congregation, and then on the Sunday they come back receiving. And a symbol of that is everybody brings water from Lake Michigan to, each pilgrim does, pours it in the fountains at Unity, and then just before we leave, fills up that same bottle with water from the Unity fountain, and then pours it in a bowl here. And that all symbolizes the connection of spirit, because water is a powerful symbol for the Holy Spirit. And then seeing how this energy and spiritual vitality spilled over and revitalized the whole congregation. And it's like every fall when we go, it's a whole renewal, revitalization process. And I know that this is something that Spirit's leading us to do.